Hey YouTubers, it's Paul from Fat Guy Productions, coming to you as always from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. Gosh, I just love the weather here in the fall and the winter. So spectacular, and it makes it great for me to come out to the workbench and do coin rings. Today we're going to do part 2 of my close-up look at the details of making coin rings. In part 1, I talked about punching the hole in the center of your coin. And today we're going to talk about the folding process. It, in my estimation, is where most things will go wrong. So if something's going to happen, it's going to happen in the folding process. And it's something we don't think a lot about. So we're going to take a look at the tools and the techniques that I use to get my rings folded and ready to become a finished product. So with no further ado, let's get right to work. Often one of the first tools ring makers buy is an arbor press. This is the 1-ton arbor press from Harbor Freight. It's a great tool and it works fantastic for the smaller coins, but not so great for the bigger. If you get one of the first things you should do is remove the press bar and grind off those 2 teeth. This will allow the press to ratchet. The teeth come off relatively simple using a bench grinder. Here's a better view of the teeth that you need to remove. At the opposite end of the spectrum is this custom-made hydraulic press. This was made by a coin ringer for coin ringers and incorporates a lot of nice-to-have features, but isn't necessary. Harbor Freight sells a reasonably priced hydraulic press, and it's what most coin ringers are using these days. The trick to it is to make sure that it is square when you set it up, and use Loctite on the joints so it will remain square as you use it. Yes, I do have the Harbor Freight hydraulic press, but it's stored away for a backup. I use this one all the time and just love it. Possibly more important than the press are the dies you'll be using. I use the dies by Jason Works, and you can find his stuff on his Etsy store. I'll put a link below. This stainless steel starting cone is one of my favorite tools. I use it for every single ring I make to make the initial fold. It's tough and it gets the job done very easily. All the remaining folds are made with some kind of a soft cone. Here is a fibrous cone, but I have replaced it with Deburring cones made by Neil Pippett. I'll put a link to his Etsy shop down below as well. Okay, so now we can begin folding. I have my punched coin, and I'll choose an appropriate die. Once I have a die that is going to fit the coin, I'm going to make sure that I have the coin in the die in the proper direction. I can't tell you how many times I've folded a coin the wrong way. Now I gently set the stainless steel folding cone into the punch out and am ready to make the fold. If things don't look square, don't be afraid to stop. Straighten things back up. A coin crooked in the die will ruin your project. The first fold is the toughest, and that's why the stainless steel starting cone is perfect here. Now that I have the first fold done, if you can't guess, it's time to re-anneal and file the cut edge. In a previous video, I talked about looking for orange flames dancing off the coin. This, in addition to the Sharpie mark disappearing, is a great indication that you have heated your coin enough. I'm going to show it to you here in slow motion, and you'll clearly see the orange flames coming off the coin. If you don't have a Sharpie or just want a secondary way to make sure you've heated properly, look for the orange flame. For all the remaining folds, I'll use soft cones. You can use the fiber ones, or in my case, Neil Pippett's Deburring cones. But they need to be soft to make sure you don't obliterate any of the detail on the inside of the coin. I make sure the die is the right size, and I get the largest folding cone that will fit inside the hole in the coin. And then I press away. I can go about 3 or 4 cranks on the press, or you can wait until you start to feel the press give a little bit more resistance. That means the coin is hardening, and it's time to anneal. I can't emphasize enough, annealing and filing the cut edge. If you have micro cracks forming in the cut edge, you will split your coin and ruin your project. If the coin splits, there's no saving it. I use my diamond files, and I thoroughly file the inside and outside cut edge of the coin. You always want to use the best fitting die and the best fitting folding cone for your project. As the coin is folded, it will change what die it prefers, so be sure to check it out. Here I can use a bigger folding cone now, as you see it fits. I can put away the small one. I'm not quite there where I can change to a smaller die. I wish I was. If you go too far in the bigger die, it can pop out and damage the coin. That's not something you want. So every time you take the coin out of the die, check to see if it will fit in a smaller one. Sadly, the coin wasn't quite small enough to move down into a smaller die. So I'll press it a little bit more and then try it again. I use 4 fingers to initially put the coin into the die and try and get it level. And then I spin the die around, focusing at one point to see if it remains consistent, to see if the coin is properly seated into the die. If it is, I can now gently set the folding cone in and go to pressing. The inserts are a great feature of my press. Sometimes, as you're pressing deeper into the folding die, the cone can start to stick out the bottom. This insert will allow that to happen without having any obstructions. My coin is now folded enough that it will fit into a die one size smaller. I'm still using the largest folding cone I have. The goal is to get the sides of the coin to touch the sides of the folding cone. That's where I'll stop. Here you can see the sides of the coin and the sides of the folding cone coming together. The Delrin is hard enough to make the fold, but soft enough it's not going to deface the detail on the inside of the coin. And here we have the coin after completing the folding process. Obviously, we have a long way to go to make this into a coin ring, but all of that will come later. As to the folding process, this was the entire thing, beginning to end. It's imperative that you have the right tools and you be patient. Don't push a bad position. All right, everybody, that about wraps up part 2 of the up close and personal look at ring making. You saw what it takes to do the folding of the coin, okay? And you see there's a lot to it. There's a lot more than you might think at first. And if anything is going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong there. The cone is going to rock, the coin is going to go through the die crooked, it's going to pop out, it's going to split. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen there. All right, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, click subscribe, make sure you ask any questions, make any comments. And we'll be coming back here soon with part 3, in which we're going to look at Swedish wrapping. So this is Paul from Fat Guy Productions. I'm getting out of here. Until next time, be good.